Did you know that tore down? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, good evening and welcome back to Predicting Tranquility, the show where we try to prove how big brained we are, yet somehow fail. My name is Bowsy, and I will be your host for this weekend, and joined again by two amazing co-hosts. First off, we have the former host of Predicting Tranquility, which is the wonderful Booth. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm happy to see how the show's gone, Bowsy. You've done a great job with it so far. I'm really thankful for you. You're doing great.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Well, on the other side, we have someone that may not be as sweet, but is still a pretty good player and a kind of smelly player at it. It's Navino from Joey Esports. How's it going, Navino?
Wow. I feel betrayed, insulted. You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
I'm sure you have
my union rep. So
that's fine. I've dealt with multiple of them. Now, for those who aren't aware of what Predicting Tranquility is, if you missed last week's show, basically this is a show where we predict all 42 matches in Tranquility that are happening this week. All 84 teams will get some moment in the spotlight. We do a prediction-based system where we tally up where we predict every sort of score for each match. If we get the correct match winner, then it is 1 point. But if we get the correct score, it's 3 points. So a lot is on the line in terms of that score, and everything can matter in the end. And of course, this is a competition for all of us. And actually, at the end of this stream, after our predictions, stick around because we might have some results from last week for you. So we're going to get started here very soon, especially with our first group, which is EU Harmony Group A. Navino, take it away.
All right, I want to preface this with I didn't really watch EU, so don't be insulted. I got Orthus or Summerbolt Rewind going with Bowsy. All of us believe that Orthus is going to win. I have it as a 3-2 because I kind of just flipped a coin. While Bowsy and Booth both think it's going to be convincing, 4-0. And then I don't remember these team names now.
Apollo versus Aesir.
Apollo versus Aesir, we all have. Yeah, you know what? This is more scuffed than that. We all have Apollo winning. Me and Bowsy have a 3-1. Booth has a 4-0. And then Feeders United versus A10. We all have Feeders United win. Oh, actually, wait. I have A10 winning, I believe.
Yeah, you do.
Well, after what you guys told me, I feel like I shouldn't have. But, here we are. And, yeah, the other two have a 4-0 in favor of Feeders United, while I have A10 winning 3-1 in an upset victory, baby. You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it. You have an upset victory potential over A10. Of course, A10 was the feature match last week. They played up against Orphis, and safe to say, after Orphis' performance, we all predict that Orphis are going to win. Navino definitely the interesting one here, saying that of course, saying Axe is going to win, but also Orphis is going to go to map 5 versus Thunderbolts. But we're going to see how that goes when the time comes, because anything can really happen here in Tranquility. But now we're going to head over, if I can remember how to do this sort of stuff, I apologize. Should get this stuff really ready in the meantime. But anyway, heading over to our next tier, which is EU Harmony B. Booth, take it away.
All right. So right off the bat, we're going to start with Snubble Gold going against the Hellhounds. Now, this is a tough one to predict right now because Snubble Gold hasn't completed their match yet. I believe it's happening. Oh, I would say believe it's happening tomorrow, but it kind of has to happen tomorrow because, that's the last day they'll be able to play. So it's kind of up in the air between the three of us. Bowsy and I both have it as a 3-2 in favor of Snubble Gold. And then Navino has it as a 3-1 for the Hellhounds. I'm probably just leaning that way because Hellhounds lost last match. I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt to Snubble Gold. But regardless, I think it'll be pretty close either way. Then all three of us have the EU Scrimbucks winning 4-0 against the Venice Vipers. A bit of a rematch of the preseason tournament. First, the final, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, the final.
Should be, the preseason final.
It was a 4-0 then. It was a very dominant EU Scrimbucks. Just before discussing with Navino and Bowsy, I at least was thinking that if anyone that's been around like Season 6 Discord tier, if you remember the disparity between some of the upper teams and just like some of the there was just like, the difference between the 6th place and the 5th place, or the 4th place and the 5th place, was a pretty big gap. And I feel like we're going to have something very similar to that this season with the EU tier. I think there's a lot of teams that are already starting and like firing really high, and EU Scrimbucks are definitely there. And then our final matchup, we have Frequency versus Paid to Win. At the moment, we have Davino and myself giving Frequency, the Victory, Navina in the 3-1, and myself in the 3-2. Bowsy is giving it to Paid to Win. I went with it because although the logo is still being generated for our package here, I like the name and logo quite a bit. I like the signal they're using for it. I think it's really cool branding. It's difficult early on here until we start to see, especially with all our UU teams, right? Because even if it's like we're just trying to pick some Discord tier teams, like we know some of the players in terms of like the community and shows like this. So it's probably going to be like this for the first couple of weeks while we're still trying to learn about the EU rosters.
Yeah, the EU tier is definitely, or the EU group is definitely a weird like anomaly right now because we don't know a lot about these teams. We don't know a lot about them. The only thing I know, like for instance, is Apollo is part of the Kaleidoscope Oregon. Aten is a French team, but that's pretty much all I have right now. And also, I do like Frequency's branding a lot. I do like it, and I hope I can get their logo very soon because I want you all to see it. It is a really good logo. And I also like the pun on the team Frequency. I'm like, okay, how do you read this team? Frequency. But
Frequency.
Yeah, definitely a really fun team, and I'm excited to see how they do this season.
I never would have gotten that. It's much like there was a team in GGNA one time that I called #Town the entire season, but they were actually
Pound Town.
Pound Town. So,
yeah. They always throw you off with those weird symbols in their names.
Yeah, bro. You think as a boomer I would understand these things, but I do not.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. And with that being said, moving on to the next tier in our list, which is NA Harmony RMA. Hope you like me talking because this is my tier to cover. First off, we have Nemesis versus Fighting Potatoes. Nemesis obviously getting a big win last week over Chrysalis. All of us here on the desk thinking is going to be their 4-0 victory next week against Fighting Potatoes. Next up, however, is a match that I'm a little interested in. Strix versus Shake and Bake. Now, Shake and Bake joined in last week. They replaced Lightspeed, who unfortunately went to Ludicrous Speed and went out of Tranquility. So now they are replacing them, and they ended up taking a map off of the Koala Kings. So I think it's going to be a 3-2 against Strix, but Navino and Booth thinking that it's going to be a 3-1 victory for Strix. So we're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that. And the last match we have here is Koala Kings versus Chrysalis. Everybody here thinking that Koala Kings get the victory. I am the only one who is giving a map over to Koala Kings, or not giving a map to Chrysalis, not to Koala Kings. Koala Kings already gets 3 maps, but it's going to be interesting to see these matches because, like, Harmony RMA, we talked about on the podcast. This is a very stacked group with Koala Kings, Chrysalis, Strix, and Nemesis now. Mm-hmm. This could really go either way, any of these matches.
It is, and honestly, like, I didn't get to watch any Shake and Bake. I don't know, Navina, if you have any opinions from the match with some of your friends last week with that, but I feel like they could be a pretty good dark horse running for that 3rd place spot if they can get an upset over like Strix or maybe like Nemesis. I'm expecting Koala to probably come up on top of this group, but I think that like fighting for that 4th place and 3rd place spots can be pretty interesting as the stage goes on.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's an interesting group. I think it's anyone's game because like Koala's a whole new team, and since preseason stuff's changed, and like if we really think about a preseason, we didn't even play with our main tank the entire preseason.
That's
so,
listen, Strix went through 3 off tanks in the preseason. So,
I know. Your current one's actually the current Strix off tank is a Marsupial boy.
He is
Matt. Yes, he was on Wisdom Academy.
I did not know that.
Wow.
That is very interesting.
That's a name.
Marsupial taking over this tournament right now.
I'll be surprised how many like Marsupial people are in Trank that aren't on Marsupial teams anymore. But anyway, I digress.
All right, speaking of Marsupial, I think it's time for the manager to start talking about the next group, which is NA Harmony RMB. Navino, take it away.
All right, so Fire Breathing Rubber W's versus Abstract. We all have FBRD. Oh wait, no, Booth has Abstract winning.
Yeah.
I think FBRD is kind of a favorite. Like they're very good, and Abstract, like, yes, they did kind of get the upset win over Big Bang last week. I just don't see them at FBRD's level yet. Then you got Big Bang versus Luminous. I have Luminous winning because I watched back the Big Bang VOD. Wasn't that impressed, but, please prove me wrong. But Bowsy and Booth both have Big Bang Buccaneers coming out 3-2. Well, I have Luminous winning 3-1. Then we have whichever F972, right?
Yeah, it's 972.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah. There's like 21497, bro.
So many.
then we all have them winning because I think they've looked better. I also think Boop hasn't looked the greatest, but who knows? But I have as 3-2, so does Booth, and then Bowsy has as 3-1. But we all are in favor of F9-7-2.
Yeah, definitely. This week looks interesting in terms of that matches. Boof, were you going to say something real quick?
Yeah, I was going to say it was the three of us for last week, right, that looked over the Boop and the Foxes, right? Luminous Foxes.
Yeah, we cast that.
It was the three of us. I was producing and you two were casting. So
we're back.
We got to see at least two of these teams play. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch back the VOD for Big Bang Buccaneers yet. It definitely saw some flaws in how the Foxes were playing. But if I don't know, that could be those two will probably be fighting for that second place spot if Fire Breathing can pick through. I did go with the upset for Abstract, though. I'm a fan of the Buccaneers, so that win spoke to me there. But I think those four teams are going to be decking it out throughout this whole stage.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it comes to the Luminous match, because obviously Navino picked that Luminous Fox is going to win. Last week, NRFT was on this show and they talked about how Luminous were running into some roster issues. Might have seen that today with Supreme Fudge leaving the team as the hit scan player. He has been replaced by King Yakko, who I swear was in Tranquility before, but
he was on Firefight last season.
Firefight, yeah.
Okay, that's where I remember the name because I remember seeing that name. I tried looking through and I was like, I don't see this guy anywhere.
I'm pretty sure he was on Firefight last season, but he wasn't there the entire. He got dropped.
Yeah,
correct if we're wrong there.
I know, Firefight had a lot of mid-season roster adjustments, but it's going to be interesting to see if Luminous Foxes can adapt to that new hit scan player. I think that's kind of why I gave the point to Big Bang. I'm guessing that's also why Booth gave it to Big Bang, but it's going to be interesting to see if Luminous Foxes can adjust with this new hit scan player. But with R&B out of the way, now it's time to head over to the Indigo. Booth, it's time for you to try and take it over. Take it away with NA Harmony Indigo A.
All right, so our first matchup, we have the Amateur Professionals versus Steam. All of us giving the favor here to the Amateur Professionals. Myself, the only one taking it to a map 5. Last week, the Amateur Professionals, I believe, I'm trying to remember back to scores, ended up winning 3-2 over Frost Nova.
Yes.
Steam ended up losing to the Gatekeepers. Yes. So I think all of us just leaning in favor of the record here. Then our second match, we have the Gahanna Gatekeepers against Squall. All of us going 3-1 here for the Gatekeepers. They're sitting 1-0. Squall had a close one last week, but ended up getting the victory. So still this early on, you kind of just lean in on the records. And then our final matchup, we have Frost Nova versus Turbo Throwers. Turbo Throwers, I was the only one actually to end up giving them the victory. I gave them a 3-1. Navino and Bowsy going 3-1 and 3-2 respectively for Frost Nova, which I don't know if who's really going with the upset here. Frost Nova is sitting 0-1 right now. They ended up losing 3-2 to the Professionals last week, so it took it to a map 5. But
I would say that Frost Nova losing is still an upset. Yes, I watched back some of that VOD, and I was kind of disappointed in Frost Nova, but I also don't want to count them out just yet because last season they did a very similar thing where they started off frankly really bad, and then really brought it back for the last half of the season, ended up finishing the chat bracket. So you don't want to count them out just yet. But if they lose this game, I think it says a lot more for their season because, if it's a Turbo Throws, but they're traditionally one of our lower teams, but shout out to Taiga and them for always coming back and improving. They have improved season in, season out. It's just they just traditionally haven't done that well. So if Frost Nova does lose this, it'll say a lot. I think it says a lot. Even if it goes to map 5, I think it says a lot more about Frost Nova than it does Turbo Throwers.
Yeah. Frost Nova definitely need to try and get some redemption after last week losing to Amateur Professionals. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to do that this week. Definitely a match to watch. I definitely feel like that will be the match to watch here in Harmony tier because two teams, one getting a big win last week, their first win this early in the season, the other having a bad loss last week. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes out. And now to wrap up Harmony tier, once again, it is me. I'm going to be wrapping it up here with Harmony Indigo B here in a second. Starting off with our first match, and we talked about this on the podcast, Galactic Penguins versus Jersey Boys, which I think all of us are a little bit interested in here. Me and Booth think that Galactic Penguins are going to be getting their second win of the season, 3-1 and 3-2 respectively. Navino saying the Jersey Boys will be getting the victory, however. So that's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Next up, we have 3.5 versus Geometric, and all of us here on the desk thinking that's going to be Geometric. Booth, the only person who's giving a map to 3.5. So it'll be interesting to see how that match goes out. 3.5, obviously, they lost last week to the Jersey Boys 4-0. So we're going to see how they do this. And our final match here at NA Harmony Indigo B, and our final Harmony match in general, is Doodles versus Wildfire, two teams looking for redemption after last week. Me and Navino think it's going to be a 3-1 victory for Doodles, but Booth, the outlier, saying map 5, Wildfire win it out. Very interesting pick there, Booth.
Yeah, I mean, both teams didn't have a good week last week, both losing 0-4. I don't really know. I haven't been in scrims in a long time, so it's tough for me to really see much more besides just the results from week to week. I'll try to go back and catch VODs when I can, but I'll be honest, I'm doing a million other things normally. So really, records and results are what speak to me the most. So I wanted to keep it as close as I could there. I was just trying to gauge it off of how good I thought their opponents are the week before. And I kind of just gave the advantage to Geometric. Like in terms like Geometric over Wildfire in a way, so then that would make Wildfire pick up the victory here today. But it could go either way. I think this could be a really close one. But Galactic Penguins, Jersey Boys, that's going to be I think we're going to be seeing a rematch of that one later on in the season, whether it's in like stage 2 or like a playoff matchup. I think that's going to be a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing that's going to be worth noting, obviously Galactic Penguins, they recently were stripped of their preseason preseason championship title because they were found to have a Smurf. That Smurf did not play last week, and I think that speaks a lot to how well this team is. Even without this player Dancer on their team, they were still able to 4-0 Doodles. So that's very interesting.
That yes, but I also think like if you remember, Doodles like had a carry DPS that was also banned. Because they were a 4.2k Smurf. Fair. So it was like,
yeah.
Tomato.
That to me, the game's just a wash, right? So like, I think Galactic Penguins is still a very solid team, and they're obviously fairly good, but I think Jersey Boys is finally at its point where like their aggression, their brawl is just better. Like, when you watch the finals against Koala versus Galactic Penguins, like Galactic Penguins just wanted to run Brawl a lot. And whenever they ran anything other than the Brawl, they ran into a lot of difficulty playing into Koala, you know? So in a Brawl v Brawl matchup, my money is on this team, like Jersey Boys, who like Brawl is so synergistic, like synergy centric. And it's like the same roster again, basically for them.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see that match next week and which team comes out on top. Really, like a lot of valid points being thrown around the table here. But now out of Harmony, now into Discord, Navino's little home and his usual team playing setting as we head into Discord RMA. Navino, take it away.
So first we got Valkyrie versus Renegades. Bowsy has Valkyrie winning 3-2. Booth has Renegades winning 3-2. I have Valk winning 4-0. Now, the big reason why is because, like, I look at Valk beating Dom, and I think that's a much higher quality win than Renegades beating Storybook Heroes. As well as, like, Valk has some players I know are solid. Like, and I just think Renegades are still an unknown. So, to me, it makes more sense for, like, I just think Valk's going to mop the floor of them. Because I see this group kind of in, like, segments of 2. It's like, to me, it's Firefight Valk at top, Domination, Storybook Heroes in the middle. And then it goes, Domination, Renegades in the middle. And then it goes Storybook Heroes, Monarch at the bottom. And then you have, Storybook Heroes versus Monarch. And Bowsy has 3-2. Booth has 3-2 for Storybook. I have a 4-0. I just, like, when watching Monarch versus Firefight, it did not give me hope. I'll be real. So, and I watched Davion, their off-tank Davion's POV of their game, and I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was like, if a team is like Monarch's issues, I don't think can be solved in a week, and I think foundationally, Storybook Heroes just has a better foundation there. And then domination for Firefight. I think Firefight just wins 3-1. I really think this is like Firefight and Valkyrie's group. If before I would have said domination of Firefight, but now after Val kind of beat them, like I just don't see them doing that. Like Firefight just looks good.
Yeah.
But also it's like you also take my argument about Monarch to Heart and like are they just good or was Monarch just bad? You know, like this is going to determine that to me.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch Discord RMA this week. Because last week we all had like an idea of who was going to win what series. Now it's all up in the air because a lot of these teams like either brought a big upset or did it in a different way. Like Domination, for example. We talked about it. Big loss last week against pretty much an upset winner. And now we have to try and figure out, is Domination really going to win or take a map against Firefight or not? And it's also, this is a big week for some of these teams. Like Storybook versus Monarch, this is probably, as you said, like if you divide this group into these tiers, this is probably the only match one of these teams is going to win this stage. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be interesting to see which team comes out on top, but it's going to be an interesting show this week in Discord RMA. So we're going to see who comes out in all these matches. But with Discord RMA out of the way, now it's time to go to RMB. Boof, take it away.
All right. So probably if I'm looking at the predictions, one of the only, I think until we get pretty deep into the Transcendence tier, we have such a consistency across all three of us. 4-0s across the board for our first matchup, the Koala Queens versus Oath. And then that's the same thing when we end up getting to the Cosmic Castaways versus Frost Surge, 4-0 going to the Cosmic Castaways. And then Bowsy and I are giving Regicide one map here in their match versus Drake, but still giving them the 3-1 victory. And Navina's just giving the 4-0.
I gave a lot of 4-0s this week, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, across like the whole board here, this is the only time we've had anything this consistent, and it just kind of speaks to the group here. I mean, there's three clear standout teams. There's 3 4-0s last week: Quokka 4-0, Cosmic 4-0, Drake's 4-0. And they kind of just swapped around who the opponents were playing. It'll probably be a little more competitive across for these top teams when they're playing in the next week. I don't actually see. The week after that, we're going to have Quokka versus Drake's, and then Cosmic will play against Regicide. So next week will be the first time that I guess the two of the upper teams are probably going to play upper that we've said now. I don't know as much about Drake's, but I expect Quokka and Cosmic to continue.
I think if Drake's don't 4-0, I'll be real, like they're not as good as I think they're going to be, because I know some of the players have picked up. If they don't 4-0, they should frankly be disappointed in themselves, because they have the talent to do it, but they also have a giant roster. And as someone that had a giant roster with QQ last season, it's a pain sometimes.
Oh yeah.
QQ had a 10-man roster last season.
Oh yeah, I always ran with like 9-mans, and it did get annoying at some point, to say the least. But back when I was playing, we were building rosters before 2-2-2 was even a thing in Trank.
True.
Those classic old days. But yeah, I think there's 3 favorite teams here. This week they haven't gone up against each other yet, so those 3 teams can see to continue going on. But it's going to be a fight for that second and first place. Whoever knocks in the third is going to be disappointed with their stage, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I think did Quokka lose a map to Regicide last week, or did they 4-0?
Nope,
they
4-0.
Okay. I was going to say, because if Regicide did take a map off them, then it's going to be interesting to see how they do. But it's still going to be interesting.
I watched back the game, and Regicide just did not do well versus if you watch Quokka, they just run a lot of ball. a lot of ball.
So I guess you can call them the hamster queens.
Oh God.
Sorry.
I mean, I guess a Quokka does kind of look like a hamster.
Fair point. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this tier, especially in the later weeks. Right now, it's just boring 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. But later, once we finally get those juggernauts facing off against each other, this tier is going to spice. This tier is going to get a little spice. This group.
Well, we hope. We hope.
I swear to God, if one of these teams 4-0s the entire way through this, just give them the championship. Actually, no, I won't say that.
Do you remember the group of death from season 6? Yeti was talking about it earlier today. It was like Q for quarantine. Yeah. It was Joey. It was
Q, Joey. Did I have Rem?
Yeah, I believe it did.
No, it didn't. But basically, like,
I'm gonna look this up.
Joey lost like 2 maps the entire way. But actually, no, I'm just gonna look. But we'll see. I think we will have a group of death at some point. I do. I really do. I think that one of these groups is just going to be super competitive. Like, we're going to look back and be like, wow.
Well, speaking of groups of death, the next one might actually be a group of death, considering how much competition is in it. Oh, okay, yeah. Actually, no. Is it? I don't remember.
It was Joey,
there we go. Okay.
Inferno Foxes, Soul, Spuds, and Deja Vu in that queue. And
yeah.
four of those 6 teams finished in the top 8.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yikes. Okay.
Finished in the top 8.
Okay. But now speaking of like the group of death things, Boof, do you want to lead us in what I think is the group of death here in Discord tier? Discord Indigo A?
Discord Indigo A. Yeah, sure thing. I can take that. So in Discord Indigo A, we have our first magic. We have.
Oh wait.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can take it. I think I'm taking someone else's here.
I'm tired. It has been a long day. I've had to do a lot, and also I'm dropping frames again. God dang it! College internet from the 20s, obviously here. Apologize for that, but it should not be any sort of internet issue. Just set it to lower quality, and you'll be able to hear everything fine. But our first match here in Indigo A features Ragnarok Fenrir versus Inferno Foxes. Everybody here in the desk thinking it's going to be Ragnarok Fenrir winning 3-1. So that's going to be interesting to see if that is the case, because obviously these two teams, one was able to get a victory. The other had a very rough match against the next team that we're going to highlight, which is Joseph Electronic Esports, who are facing off against SEAL Team Spuds. Everybody here in favor of Joey Esports. Booth and Navino.
I do not know. I thought I was going to be the outlier here, honestly.
No, I'm the outlier. You two have picked 3-2. I picked 3-1 for Joey. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of us comes out on top there, because that could really go either way, especially with Joey Esports and SEAL Team Spuds both being really good teams. And our final match of this week is the feature match for Indigo A. Rift versus Rampaging Inferno. Two teams looking for redemption. Me and Boot, everyone here on the desk is going in favor of the Bulls of Rampaging Inferno. Navino's the only person who thinks it's going to be a sweep. Me and Boot think it's going to be a map 5 thriller. So it's going to be interesting to see which teams come out on that, especially after last week.
Inferno took a map off Spuds. So to me, they are a tier above Rift.
Yeah, definitely.
Just my thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. It looks like when it comes to my things, my internet, it's definitely not working up. Like my kilobits per second are going all over the place, but we'll hopefully see if that stables out. Probably won't. College then is bad. We'll be in a better place when the time comes. But
once you become an adult.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Booth gave me a suggestion, but any surprises here on this while we're talking about it?
I actually think Inferno Foxes could potentially take on Fenrir. It was just it's hard. It was hard for me to predict Inferno Foxes to win after playing them and how they played. But I do not think I do think that there is a chance. It's not I think it'll be a close 3-1. I think it easily could flip into a 3-2 or even a 3-2 in favor of Inferno Foxes. Because also Fenrir didn't look that great to me either. It was one of those hard matches where it's one of those matches where I think one team's going to win and win convincingly enough that's not going to map 5, but it could be either one of the teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like this Fenrir Foxes match to me is kind of saying who's going to get that third place spot. Because I mean, I got Joey and Spuds 1 and 2. So if Ragnarok pulls this off here, I think they set themselves up pretty nicely. To get that.
Well, yeah, as long as they beat Inferno and such, yes. I think Inferno is my pick for the third in this group right now.
Wow, so that they got to make an upset on Joey or Spuds then.
I mean, Inferno. So speaking of marsupial, folks, Inferno's flex support Skylar is also marsupial.
There's just too much marsupial in this.
Yeah,
especially with announcements that came earlier today. There's just way too much marsupial.
Hey, we have 5 teams in the tournament now.
Yeah, you have 5 teams. You're taking over Trank one by one. Eventually, it's going to be the Tranquility Gaming, sponsored by Marsupial Org.
It's God, I love the Billings Boomers. You'll see that in Twitch chat from many of the Marsupial bets because they were a meme. And Boomer is another name for adult kangaroo, if you guys were wondering how that relates.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it's going to be interesting. And also, yeah, definitely these are going to be matches to watch. But now we're heading into our final Discord tier, which is Indigo B. Navino, take it away.
Alt F4 versus Hammerhead. We all have Hammerhead winning. Bowsy and Booth have them at 5. I have a 3-1 in favor of Hammerhead. I think them they got beat 3-1 by Space Creator, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So I would love to see Alt F4 be a really competitive team. Cam in Twitch chat saying, "Wow, I'm glad my team doesn't have any more Super Bowl players." All right, Cam. So and then
bad news.
Bad news for you, Cam. So I just think Hammerhead's a solid team because I think Space Creator will be like probably an upper half team. Then you got Space Creator versus Redacted. You guys have 3-1 and 3-2 in favor of Space Created. I have a 4-0. I think Space Created, this is the match where Space Created defines himself as like a top team and favorite to win their group. Then you have Oreo Fleet versus Poseidon. We all have the exact same score, 3-1 in favor of Oreo Fleet. Now I saw someone say they wanted Oreo Fleet to be the Chengdu Hunters of Tranquility.
Wow.
Well, hopefully you don't choke in big games like the Chengdu Hunters does. Or did. Rest in peace, Jinmu, bro. And Lee.
That's sad. So sad.
But good luck. It's a cute dog. I'll give you that. It's a cute dog.
It's a good logo.
It's a good logo.
It is a good logo. Imagine saying that Oreo Fleet is the Chengdu Hunters of Tranquility when Doodles is right there staring in your face at Harmony. I'm just saying, you cannot tell anybody.
They still just run Roadhog the entire time.
I don't know. I haven't watched their matches, but they were known as the Chengdu of Tranquility.
I remember season 6. They were annoying.
Yeah, they were. If you went up against Doodles, I am very sorry for the pain that they have caused you. All the suffering you've had to go through. It is not fun playing against Doodles. But with that out of the way, that is Discord Indigo A. Definitely a lot of interesting results. It's going to be interesting to see these matches this week. But now we move away from the Discord and head all the way transcending up to the next tier, the Transcendence tier. Boof. Take it away with Transcendence RMA.
All right. So our first matchup for RMA, we have Battalion versus Reckless Sigma. We have Bowsy and Navino giving Battalion the victory, 3-2 and 4-0. I'm giving it here to Reckless Sigma, giving them a 3-2. Battalion had a fantastic match against Epizeuxix, and I'm sure I said that wrong, and I'm not going to care.
EpiPen. I just call him EpiPen.
That's pretty good. I like
that. That's what we called them in League Zero when they were around because everyone tried and just gave up.
I was like, whatever. I think Sigma's still really good. We had a good 4-0 last week with them, and that's why I think it's going to be a really close one. I could see Battalion flipping this one over. I don't think it's going to be an absolute shutout for them. But then we go on to our next matchup. We have Vengeance versus Phoenix. We have all of us having Phoenix with the win here, 3-2 on my end, 3-1 for my co-analysts here. And then our final match, we have Epizeuxix, EpiPen versus Plus Ratio. Oh, I might have is it?
Yes, from what I've
Plus Ratio, I think is the name of the new team.
We just got a new team entering in as I was setting up. Plus Ratio entered into the tournament. That is the
Ratio. We all have them getting absolutely dumpstered. So
we have them getting ratioed and Trank in their first week.
It's got to be tough here. You're going up against one of the favorites, especially in this group, I would say favorites in Transcendence tier for a team that's not known about. So tough to not give the 4-0 in favor of a team that's been tested.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate timing for them.
Yeah. They're going to come in 0-1 and start up from here. And their weeks after that, let me see who they're going to go up against. They'll go up against.
They've already went up against
Battalion the week after that.
Oh, God.
That's a rough couple of weeks, man. But it's kind of nice though. They're going to be figuring things out, and I'd rather face against the really good teams at the beginning, so you can try to pick up your victories towards the end. If you're trying to get things together, because then they'll finish up with Sigma the week after that, and their last week will be against of Vengeance, I think it would be. Yeah, Vengeance will be their final week. So they would have ended up getting the Mist versus Phoenix. But yeah, okay, we'll see how they end up turning out here. This is a pretty strong group. I think Battalion and Epi are definitely the top there. You can already see by their 3-2 last week. Fantastic feature match, by the way. I'm happy we got to get that one picked out for our first Transcendence Tier 1 this season. But I think strong group. I think we got a couple of strong teams here.
Yeah, definitely. And if you haven't seen that feature match last week from Epizeuxis versus Battalion, watch it. It is very good. And it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams are going to fare, because obviously you have a lot of like mid-table teams here. Reckless Sigma is probably the most contention that these two teams are going to run into now after that first match. It's going to be interesting to see if Sigma can be an upset in these, because Sigma, like at Reckless Sigma, they were a Discord team last season, and the Reckless Org is known for pretty good teams. And I'll get into Alpha was a Reckless team.
I know, but Sigma was in Trans team.
Sigma was Trans, I think.
There was a Reckless team in Discord, but it wasn't Sigma. Because Sigma had like Garrett and them on it.
I don't remember. I'd have to do my research again, but I remember there was at least two. Sigma was in Discord tier. Reckless Shockwave was in Transcendence.
Yes.
Okay.
Sigma was in Discord tier, I remember.
Yeah.
All I know is that there was like 4 Reckless teams, because there was also like Platlaws, Alpha.
Yeah, Reckless Platlaws was a Trans team. The only Reckless team in in Discord tier was Reckless Sigma.
Yeah, so. You all talk about I have a lot of teams. Can we point out the fact that Reckless had like 4 teams last season?
They don't anymore, Navino. There's a difference.
Reckless, and then you put Marsupial, and then if Ragnarok had all their teams competing, that'd be like it's like a third of Trank, just like checked off the box right there.
Done. No more fills. But anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see how these matches turn out. Now we move over to Transcendence Aurum B, and again, this might get a little bit boring. We do have a bye in this, so I labeled them all with dashes, which is Devil Dukes. They get a bye this week unless the team joins tomorrow. For some reason, but
the other really cruddy to Devil Dukes, considering they would have like a day to fight. They're like, oh, we think a game now.
Yeah, they might have a game eventually, but still, our other matches. First off, we have Maelstrom versus Manifest, and all of us here on the desk think of 4-0 for Manifest. Maelstrom did get the win last week, but that was because they had a bye. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to contend up with Manifest, because we haven't actually seen that team yet. And the second match and the final one here in Transcendence R&B, apart from that bye, is our feature match. Insidious versus Throwing or Bad. Two teams looking for redemption after last week. Me and Navino think it's going to be a 3-1 victory for Throwing or Bad, but Booth going for the 3-2 victory for Insidious.
If that's true, Booth, I gotta say that
is a big brain move right there.
I won't lie, I completely never saw Throwing or Bad's logo, and if I would have, that would have been flipped the other way.
Want me to do it real quick now?
I respect it.
I will respect the logo diff coming in, because that's happened before here on Predicting Trank.
It's like one of my only upsets, I guess I would say here, so I'll stick with it. But it is tough for me to go against a cat logo as a cat person. I'm a dog person too, but I got 2 cats with me right now. One's asleep like a couple feet away from me, so I'm happy she's asleep and doesn't hear that, because she'd be pretty pissed if I went against her kind. But
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see that feature match, especially because Throwing or Bad, they lost last week to Devil Dukes. Was that a 4-0, Navino, or was that a 3-0? Was it 4-0? So both of these teams need redemption after both got swept last.
It's actually really interesting to me that Throwing or Bad made our top 8 after getting 4-0.
Yeah, the cat is just that powerful, man.
Well, I do think it says a lot to how good Dukes is right now, and how good like the top probably 4 teams are in Trans, that we still think someone that got 4-0'd by one of them is considered top 8.
It's still considered top 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Disparity continuing in Trans tier this season. Noise isn't Trans tier though, to be honest. It's never.
It's in every tier. I mean, because like with just the number of teams we have, there's always going to be like, it's not like we're an 8-team league where everyone can be pretty close. It's 24 teams.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love our new stage format, because it's still a season worth playing and fighting for. I mean, you still get playoff, you still get the chance to make it through. You want to go for that double limb spot if you can, but it's not like you have a bad stage 1 and that's it. So
everyone has a chance still, which is nice.
Yeah. All right. Now moving on, we only have 2 tiers left, and then we're done with the tier coverage. First off, we have Transcendence Indigo A. Navino, take it away.
So Carnage versus Zeus, we all have a 4-0. Carnage looked pretty solid.
Yeah.
they're like really like a lot of the good parts from last season's domination team that finished top 4 going into trans tier, and I think they'll still continue to be good. And maybe Dab Master isn't getting school diffs this time, and actually able to come to games. Then you have this is F214.
Yes, this is Fahrenheit 214.
And we also have Danger Close. All of us have him winning 3-1. I noticed that Danger Close was like a bunch of like people from Paradise Lost from last season.
Yeah, Ira and one other player I think were on
Sussing as well.
Yeah, Sussing. He was the coach for Paradise Lost. Yeah. So now he's on this team.
So it's interesting. And then you got Meraki versus the Billings Boomers, the next marsupial brand in Transcendence. Obviously, I'm biased, and I have my team winning, obviously. And then you guys have Meraki winning 3-1. Booth has them winning 4-0. I could talk about Boomers and why I think they're good, but like
we have to see for ourselves.
Yeah, we kind of really have to see. And I also am going off base to stuff I've seen from Meraki and what I think is capable of our team. So yeah.
I didn't know the team was coming from Marsupial Org. But yeah, I didn't even know we had that team filled until like this morning or a couple days ago, right?
Yeah. We knew about that.
It's kind of crazy to me how much goes over my head. I'll just like log into Discord and look up, and I just missed like 130 messages in admin chat, and I'm like, that's probably nothing importance.
Yeah, Billings Boomers. I will say I do like some of the roster for Billings Boomers. Chief, the all-star master last season on DPS, combined with Sempra from Council of Anime Girls last season. I mean, Sempra's okay, but Chief is really good. I'm actually very interested to see how Billings Boomers do this season.
And then we got Frosty or Lynn from Battalion.
Oh wow, Frosty!
Yeah, you got a pretty good roster on him.
And then then the flex support is Silvertalls from Aphelion Season 6 Discord.
Okay, remember that name for sure.
He was the Zen player that almost beat Joey.
For Aphelion, Zen and Aphelion. That's why I could definitely remember that combo. I remember that.
Also, I learned about this just recently. Navino, I don't know if you knew this. Danger Close. I don't know if you recognize an old team from an old tournament called Odyssey Esports.
Is that Odyssey?
Yes, I looked it up and I was like, "This is Odyssey Esports." I am surprised.
From Owlet?
Yes. Odyssey Esports from Owlet came in as Danger Close. I did not know about this rebrand, but I saw the name Zebra Cook and I'm like, oh, hey, this name sounds familiar. Wait a second. So that is very interesting. And I'm interested to see how well Odyssey Esports can do now that they're a Transcendence tier team, because they used to be an Owlet Minors team, which is basically a Harmony tier team here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do here. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this season pans out for both Danger Close and Billings Boomers. Two teams I'm really excited to see this as the season goes on. But now, all things must come to an end, and we're going to end it off with the final Transcendence tier group, which is Transcendence Indigo B. Boof, take it away.
All right, so first matchup here, we have the Decapitators versus Reckless Arcadia. We have Navino and I giving the win here to the Decaps. 4-0 for Navino. I'm taking it closer to a 3-2 here. Bowsy giving Reckless Arcadia the win, 3-1. I think this is going to be probably two of the better teams in the group, to say the least. It's just early on in the season for me to not make it a 3-2 after seeing both teams do well last week. I mean, Decaps 3-1, Arcadia had a 4-0. But I mean, I can't speak for Navino. I'm just sticking with the fact that I know a lot of the Decap roster and have seen what they have done in the past and just expecting them to continue doing well. I mean, I have a lot of faith in the Reckless org. I think it's probably the best two teams, I would say, on this side. And then our second matchup, we have the Rat Society versus Puerto Rico. We have Bowsy and myself getting Puerto Rico the win, 3-1 for myself, 3-2 for Bowsy. And then we have Navino giving a 3-2 victory on the side of Rat Society. Rat Society ended up getting 4-0'd last week, and then I believe Puerto Rico had a 3-1 victory over Kent State. Yeah, so
yes.
Okay. Then our final matchup, we have I'm probably gonna get this name wrong. Uzumaki, maybe?
Yes,
yeah,
that's how you pronounce it. Uzumaki.
I don't know too much, so I'm proud of myself for that. Going up against Kent State, 3-1 for Bowsy and 3-2 for Navino on the side of Uzumaki, but I gave Kent State the win mostly because I had a lot of friends that went to Kent State. I know it's their collegiate team. I think it's their varsity roster that's playing. And there's a saying that goes, can't read, can't write, Kent State. That's what they say here in Ohio for things. But I think it's a can't read, can't write, can play six-man pretty well enough to make it at least a Map 5 win. So, yeah, sorry about that. I had to fit it in somewhere, and I didn't really.
Go for it. As someone that also went to college in Ohio, I understand. But wow,
as someone who doesn't go to college in Ohio but goes to college, as you can clearly see, it's definitely interesting to see that college prediction out there. And it's going to be interesting to see how Kent State do this year. I'm definitely interested to see how Kent State will do. And also, again, as I said last week, I am a big fan of Reckless. I like Reckless Arcadia this season. Not to mention, they have the coach of Reckless Alpha last season, who is Mick Jr. And last week, they proved me right that they could actually contend here by beating Rat Society. And I was like, yes, come on, Reckless. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they fare. Definitely, I think this is going to be their hardest match. But I'm rooting for Reckless because I believe in the Reckless supremacy right now. And also, Puerto Rico, we had to all choose Map 5. Puerto Rico were the Map 5 team in the preseason. You can't argue with the team that constantly won Map 5s. The only match they lost was a 0-3. They went to Map 5 in every other series. So that's why I put them for a Map 5 there. But it's going to be interesting to see how Rat Society does there. But for the most part, that is everything. I don't know why I'm at 0 kilobits per second. Let's hope nothing breaks.
The stream started buffering?
My internet, that's why the stream's
buffering. It's back.
Yeah, my college net isn't that great, but now that's pretty much it. That is all 84 teams, 42 matches happening next week in Tranquility. Definitely going to be interesting to see which ones come out on top. But before we go, I promised you guys some results from last week. So Boof already knows the results because he's the one who decided to set them up. Thank you, Boof. Navino doesn't, so it's going to be interesting to see. We'll start off with our content creator scores. Yeah, I can do, or I can just do this. Now you guys should be able to hear me, and hopefully you guys should be able to hear Boof as well. Let's see. Boof, could you talk real quick? Well, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I know why. Okay, hold on. Welcome to Bowsy Does Production on the Fly. That's why you can't hear them, because I forgot to change the
You.
Yeah, potentially. There we go. Now they can probably hear you, Boof.
Okay, there we go.
So you missed off Navino popping off because he decided to because he had that. But yeah, definitely interesting scores here. Navino obviously getting first by a single point. That's very interesting to see. So it's going to be interesting to see how these scores shape up next week. But now we move over to the overall scores, and this is where stuff is going to get a little messy. Because not a lot of the content creators, believe it or not, are on this list.
Oh, really?
Starting off with number 5. Starting off with number 5, we already talked about myself, 54 points. In 4th place is actually a tie for 3rd place between two people. Navino and Toxic tied for 3rd place with 55 points each. which is very strange. That's probably the only thing that's happened. There were other ties, but this is one of the more interesting ties. In second place, Navino, you'll be proud to hear that it's a fellow member of Joey Esports. 27 got 60 points this week.
Oh, that's Remy. 27 is Remy in Discord, by the way.
Okay, Remy. So I'll have to update that when the time comes. But in first place this week for the community member scores, and now currently is the top 5 overall in the standings. From the Cosmic Castaways, Cry with 61 points is your top contender right now in the entire tiers. Definitely interesting to see these sort of scores here, and especially see that difference between the community member and the CCT scores. Any sort of reactions that we have to those?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cry was one of the best predictors last season as well.
It was.
I think she ended up winning at the end. I don't know if I ever had the full tally, but it was like Cry, Yeti.
I think I was up there too, wasn't I?
Navino was definitely up there. Bowsy, basically whoever submitted it every week, that kind of took you out of the running, if not because of.
I think I was first and then fell out because I did submit like last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You definitely should do that. But it's going to be interesting to see how these scores shape up as the time goes on. In the future, we'll be showing the weekly community member scores, the overall community member scores, and the content creation weekly scores every single week. And I'll tally all the content creation scores and see who is the worst content creator on this field right now. Spoiler alert, right now I need to look at the sheet and I don't have it open. We'll figure that out as time goes on. But it's going to be interesting to see all these scores as the week goes on. Now, of course, as we're about to end off, any final comments from you two before I talk about our feature matches for the week?
No, I don't have anything to really continue on with it. I'm updating there'll be a link for !predict. It looks like when I tried to change the form submission, it did not work. So I'm fixing that right now.
Jersey Boy supremacy is all I got to say.
I'm not going to blame you on that. Jersey Boys supremacy has been pretty good, and also Joey Esports supremacy. I couldn't catch which one, but that is pretty much going to be it here for Predicting Tranquility. Make sure you watch all the feature matches this week. We have plenty of them. Starting off tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have Apollo versus Aesir in the EU Harmony tier division. A match you do not want to miss. Those two teams looking to really boost up their score in EU. Later that day, hey, I have Boop here again. Well, that's because Boop versus Fahrenheit 972 is our Harmony tier feature match for North America. Make sure to catch that as well. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesday is our normal match day. At 9:30, you can catch us here on Wednesday with Insidious versus Stronger Bad in the Transcendence tier, a match you do not want to miss. And finally, in the Discord tier on Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have Rift versus Rampaging Inferno, another match. All these matches, really, you do not want to miss this week. These are definitely very important, very interesting matches that you do not want to miss as time goes on. But for the most part, that is going to do it. That is going to do it from us here in Predicting Tranquility. For Boof and Navino and everybody else in the content creation team has been helping out with the show. My name has been Bowsy. Until we meet again, have an amazing night, and we hope to see you later this week for the feature matches.